going to get there. He turned 32 yesterday. Does he have a vintage moment in it? In the end zone, it is caught for the win. Kodrak's gorgeous. He scores!
All right,
I
let's start with
apologize.
some NFL power rankings.
Special.
So for the power rankings, we're more likely just going to be for the first couple weeks or first couple shows. If you guys want us to do more than just top 10, we can. More than welcome to. It'll just take more time. So in the 10th, we have the Los Angeles Rams, who are 5-3, and they played. Oh goodness, who did they? They had a bye week, right? I want to say they had a bye
Bruh,
week.
my man's just frozen. His cam's just gone, bruh.
What, mine? I can tell. Doesn't matter. You don't need to see me to love me.
We struggling, bruh.
The Rams played nobody, right? Yeah, they had a bye week this past week. So that's good for them, I guess. And how
Yeah,
they're
this
doing.
hashtag sad. For real, for real.
It still shows me on here. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm trying to get that fixed it right now.
I think it's on your end.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't show you on mine.
It's solid good. You know, we're trial and errors. This is our first time doing this kind of thing.
We'll probably be on Skype next week if we can get that to work. All right, let's get back into this though.
Yes, sir.
Even though I'm not on there.
Exactly. The
So
show
the
must go
Rams
on.
are looking terrible this year, in my opinion. I don't think they've been doing great. I don't think they deserve that number 10 spot. Hashtag sad is facts. I just saw that.
They're not living up to their expectation. 100% after coming off of last year. Definitely not.
And especially not signing, but trading for
Jalen
Ramsey. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would think they would do a lot better, but he's only played 1 week, so we'll see.
Yeah, we gotta tough it out, see what happens. Getting your face back in here.
I was like, what's happening?
The whole world just got to see my Discord.
All right. Coming in at number 9, we
Yes,
have the
yes,
Minnesota
yes, yes,
Vikings.
yes. Jared Goff has been off
6
for the
and 3.
season.
Jared Goff was never good.
I wouldn't say never good.
I don't think it was ever good. I think there could have been so much. Like, I think he got way too hyped up.
I can see that.
Where'd this music just come from?
Coming from here.
Oh. It's a Discord thing. That was weird. It's still going. Okay. Oh, whatever. They're 6 and 3. Kirk Cousins has come out of nowhere after like the first 3 weeks they were terrible. Now they're just tearing it up. Although I think most of their wins have been against worse teams. I think it's a flawed team. I don't think they deserve a number 9 spot either. I feel like there's a couple other teams that aren't as flawed that just aren't having good years.
Dang that chair.
I didn't even know Brandon Cooks had concussion problems.
That's
what you get for playing a sport where you ran into people's heads.
Yeah, basically. Alright.
The Vikings, I think their only weapon is Stephon Diggs and Kirk Cousins, and that's it. I think that's it.
Yikes. Houston, Texas, in the number 8 slot. 6 and 3 record.
I think they should be doing better. Although now with J.J. Watt being out for the rest of the year, I think they're ruined. I think they're not going to win another game. Although they won this week, I believe. Let's talk about that.
It states right here under the...
We completely skipped over the Vikings game, but we'll talk about it later, obviously.
This also says right here, though, under the power rankings, it says the Texans have the 6th worst passing defense in the NFL. You're going to be giving up a lot of points with that. You got to stuff it up a little.
especially with J.J. Watt now, they're going to be giving up a lot of yards too.
Exactly.
Number 7, we have the Packers. I feel, based off this last week that we had, week 9 of the NFL, they don't hold up to that 7-2 record. They may have a great record, but they're looking terrible on the field in the last week.
Last week was awful. They had to come
They
back.
took a fat L.
Like against the Dolphins, being down 14 points at halftime. You should be up by 21 at halftime going up against the Dolphins. We're being honest.
They didn't play the Dolphins this week. That was the Steelers you're thinking about last
Oh,
week.
that was the Steelers. That was bad. Who was the Packers? Am I tripping?
Who's the Packers? The Packers played the Chargers and
Oh,
lost
yeah.
26-11.
Yeah, that was Monday.
The Chargers. The 3-5 Chargers.
Yeah, that was bad.
All I gotta say is Aaron Rodgers needs to step up, take a hold of this defense, and say, y'all need to do better. Because he can only do so much on the offensive end.
I do think, like you said, the Packers are underrated, but they need to step it up a little.
I wouldn't say they're underrated. I think they're perfectly rated for what they've been doing so far.
But they can do better.
The fact that they took the L to the Chargers is a big gut check for them.
Right.
We'll get into another team that had a major gut check later.
But they're a better team than they're showing themselves to be. Like, they can definitely step it up.
Yes. Next up, coming in at number 6, we got the Seattle Seahawks, 7-2. Russell Wilson balling out, has an MVP, candidate. He's showing he has the possibility to be, but I don't think he's going to get it. I don't think he has it this year. I think there's somebody else in the league that is definitely going to get MVP. And
see, at this point, okay, Russell Wilson is the Seahawks at this point.
They got Jadeveon
incredible
last year.
Let's see.
That was last year, right?
I saw you also mention it before we started about Russell Wilson for MVP. What do you think about that?
I said he's an MVP candidate.
No. Andrew said, or Austin said that.
That's what I was referencing.
You think?
And
I think if he keeps it up, he has a good chance. But
he's Russell Wilson. He won't keep it up. He's under Pete Carroll, one of the worst play callers in the history of the NFL.
We all remember that.
He's
Super
not
Bowl.
worse than Freddie Kitchens. Let's be honest here. Freddie Kitchens needs to stay a defensive coach. That's a good thing to talk about the Browns, but we can talk about that when we're talking about individual games. But the Browns suck, and I'm blaming it on Freddie Kitchens. Next up, coming in number 5, we got the Kansas City Chiefs, 6-3, and I think this is an underrated spot for them.
They do have 3 losses though.
Winning without Mahomes.
That is facts, not facts.
And I look at this team with a backup quarterback with Matt Moore. Nobody expected him to come in and still ball just like Patrick Mahomes. We were watching the Broncos game against the Chiefs. I thought the Broncos had it in the bag once Mahomes got hurt. Now I was upset when Mahomes got hurt because I have him in fantasy, and that is really important to me because I am 5-2, 6-2. Just won this week. Thriller of a game, let me tell you.
What, you won by 1?
Yeah. A scary trend that they have listed here is that the opponents have scored touchdowns on 24.7% of drives. Kansas City's defense is tearing up teams' offenses. That was weird. And to see that Andy Reid, such a great quarterback coach, not just has one power quarterback, but he has somebody that can come in and cover what that quarterback does. And that's mostly the thing to, Travis Kelce, the Cheetah himself, Damian Williams out there doing incredible running It's Damian Williams, right? I believe so. But I saw a great thing this week. If you were watching the game or you saw any of the highlights, Tyreek Hill is definitely the fastest person on the Chiefs offense team in general. Ran from basically the line of scrimmage and caught up with Damian Williams, who was almost in the end zone. He ran, I think it was 17 miles an hour or 22. I think it was 22 miles an hour to catch up to him. That's insanely fast. He can do that on a breakaway. Oh, Kansas is going to be disgusting when Mahomes comes back after the bye week next week. So I only see them going up from here.
My man's blacked out again. Feels bad.
It doesn't matter. I don't need to be seen. All we know is Austin's right. I'm out here spitting straight facts, and that's the only thing I'm here for.
Show must go on, as my man says.
So next up, we got the Ravens coming in at number 4, 6-2. This is kind of crazy to see. You know, they've been hanging out in the top 10. I didn't see them making a jump from 6 to 4 because of last week. You know, I mean, yeah, they beat the Patriots, but I don't think that deserves 2 spots.
Every team is gonna have that day where it's like just not on. Not saying that was the Patriots, but like
doing great, loving it up,
exactly.
or the other team. Nothing's really clicking. Defense looks like straight trash. Patriots. But I don't know. I think we will only see the Ravens, you know, stick around in that 1 to 6 spot. Because they're in the AFC East. Right? Yeah. AFC East with the Patriots, Steelers, you know, big teams out here. Especially the Patriots.
Steelers are garbage though, so we don't really gotta talk about that.
I don't know if they'll be doing good in the postseason or not. Really, right now, I think your Ravens are that borderline good teams. Yeah, they'll play great against good teams, but we've also seen them have some bad weeks against bad teams. So, you know, they got the Jets coming up, Dolphins, Bengals, Falcons. So, they got a pretty easy stretch coming up. So,
Falcons is a free win every week. No gap. Nobody's got to worry about them Falcons.
I don't got much to say for the Ravens except Lamar Jackson is proving everybody wrong. And, you know, that's what he does best. You know, that running back in the quarterback slot. What do you expect? Next up, number 3, we got the New Orleans Saints, 7-1. They are shocking the world right now. Teddy Bridgewater. No, he went to the Vikings, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's their... I can't remember their backup quarterbacks' names. But in the weeks of Drew Brees being gone, they stepped up, went 5-0. I think right now the Saints have to be majorly thanking them. I can't remember his name, to be honest. But that one backup quarterback, he's not only showing out in the quarterback spot while Brees was gone, but he's stepping up and now he's playing wide receiver spots while Brees is back now. And it's just insane to see quarterbacks out there doing that. Yeah. Julian Edelman used to be a quarterback, blah, blah, blah. You know, yeah, everybody's played wide receiver, but he's playing like a tight end spot, which is awesome to see out of a quarterback. He's not scared to get hit. Michael Thomas is doing great things. I see them going to the NFC Championship. Who else would go? I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, Tyson Hill.
And now that Drew Brees is back, the Saints are just going to be 10 times more powerful. At the end of the day, awesome. Drew Brees is Drew Brees.
Another thing I wanted to talk about the Ravens, but I forgot about. Mark Ingram had a play where he was running down and he was cutting out to the edge, and he almost went out of bounds, and he stayed in. Like, the footwork on that was absolutely insane. Number two, as expected, you got your New England Patriots. 8-1, took a crushing loss to the Ravens. If you watched the game, I didn't. But the highlights, the Patriots defense looked lost. They didn't even look like a good working defense. It was so bad. And that's a really big thing to look at, because they had one of the best defenses in the league, scoring almost 30 points a week in fantasy. That's unheard of. You don't have defenses scoring as much as quarterbacks weekly in fantasy football. That ain't right.
I would also like to point out that Tom Brady scored me like 13 points in fantasy, where my backup, which I had Lamar Jackson, drops 22. So not only was their defense garbage, but their whole team was just in shambles.
Nothing was clicking for them.
Nothing was clicking.
Now, is this the start of the downfall of the Patriots dynasty? Probably not. But it is something to look at. Nothing was clicking. This could just be one of those weeks where they just had a bad week.
Right.
Which it more than likely is. So I don't think it's much to mourn about for the Patriots. Just look past it. You got to prepare your defense for quarterbacks that are like that, because you're going to have a few here and there, but you're going to have one as good as Lamar Jackson.
Right. Do you think that the Patriots... Oh, wow. Do you think that... What was I going to say? Dang. Do you think this affects the Patriots going on? Like,
No.
Do you think going forward that this is like, dang?
Have you seen the rest of the AFC?
Yeah, I know, but like,
they're all jokes.
But do you think that this is the start of like a bad season, or then like this not happening?
No, they just have to prepare for the Ravens again, because it's more than likely going to be them and the Ravens or the Chiefs in the AFC Championship.
Right.
Well, it's going to be the Patriots and more than likely the Chiefs. But the other team coming out of the NFC that everybody should keep their eyes out for is number one, the 49ers, 8-0.
Big question. Will they remain undefeated? Will they go undefeated?
Yes. They have a pretty hard schedule coming ahead of them. But the way this offense and defense is put together, I don't see them losing. Especially if Jimmy Garoppolo has nights like last night or Sunday night over and over again. He threw... I know he threw around 300 yards. I just want to be correct. I don't want to be wrong, so I'm looking it up. Or Thursday night, my bad. They played Thursday. I was really sad about how the 49ers defense did. It just seemed terrible for what we've seen out of them the past couple weeks. They let a terrible Arizona Cardinals team score 25 points. 25 points. That is absolutely insane. That shouldn't have happened. But Jimmy Garoppolo threw 28 for 37, 317 yards, and 4 touchdowns. If he can continue to do that, all I see the 49ers do is winning. And they're winning when he throws like 200 yards. And that's what's great about this team, is they don't need to score a lot of points to win, unlike last week. So if they can keep doing
insane too. You can't forget,
what was that?
like, Jimmy Garoppolo has been incredible also.
Yeah. But he's a really big system player. He's not your Brady's, your Breezes, he's not a big yards guy. He's more of just doing what he has to win, which isn't a lot for this team. I mean, but he's got great guys catching the ball. George Kittle. He's got Emmanuel Sanders now. Oh my God. Which I think Emmanuel Sanders is insane. He's a great guy, great young guy that for some reason the Broncos traded away.
My man's a Broncos fan. He's a little salty.
Super salty. Super salty. But Kyler Murray balled out in that game too. He did great. He had 241 yards, which is great for a midget.
He's not that short.
Yes, he is.
Nah, no way.
But I don't see the 49ers losing anytime soon.
You think they'll go to the Super Bowl? Think they'll make it all the way?
Yeah. Have you seen the rest of the NFC?
Super Bowl Niners against. Predictions now.
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Mahomes is going to come back, and he's going to go back to his old ways, I think. I think this injury is going to put him in a comeback state, especially because the Chiefs have sat him out for 2 weeks now for basically no reason other than the fact that he dislocated his kneecap. Yeah, I get it. Oh my God, he dislocated his kneecap. It's not the point. It's just a kneecap. He was literally fine. He walked back to the field. He stood on it the rest of the game. It didn't affect him.
That's a respectful prediction.
Cortland's always been good. He was just kind of playing in the shadow of Emmanuel, and now that he's taken that wide receiver 1 spot, and we finally got rid of Flacco, I think you're going to see a whole different Broncos team. I think Flacco was a lot to blame for that. I mean, yes, you can blame Broncos play calling, but then again, Flacco kept throwing terrible throws, all that. Brandon Allen, who I've never heard of, came out of nowhere, played a great game. You finally got to see Noah Fant, or Fant, however you say it, actually catch a ball that he could run on multiple, and he got his touchdown. I don't think that's his first, but I think we need to see more out of our running backs, though. I think the Broncos in the next couple of years could be a scary team to play, because we did get a good amount of picks. I think. I'm thinking about the wrong team, probably. I don't know.
All right, do we move on to our next topic? Our next topic is a pain one. Is a painful one for me. MLS. Being an Atlanta United fan, as you can see right here, got the Atlanta United on the wall. It's a tough one. Atlanta United goes down.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is because there isn't really power rankings to go over right now. There is the conference finals recaps. Toronto played
Atlanta.
And then
Seattle played what? LA?
LAFC. And LAFC game, whew, that was a wild one. Lots of goals were scored.
Pull it up right here.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Ah, my Google crashed. Can't go ahead and talk about the United one though, because I do know all about that one. Watch the whole
Okay,
thing.
it was only 4 goals, but Seattle came back from being down 1-0.
Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong dang thing. Oh here.
Yeah. Sutton's young, Font's young. All of those guys are young, but we can talk about that more next episode if you'd like. Just give us some things you might want to talk about, and we can definitely go over it.
Right. So looking at the stats here, looks like Seattle just straight got lucky, right? LA 15 shots, Seattle 11. LA had its possession 69% of the time, leaving Seattle with possession 31%.
Do you even want to look at the stats?
31%. LA had 654 passes, where LA had 297. That's crazy.
How the heck are you seeing that?
They just got straight outplayed, but I guess more of their shots were on target. Well, yeah, 5 of their 11 shots were on target, where
LA had
4 of their
only
15
2 saves. And Seattle had 3. Oh my goodness, LA had 9 corner kicks. How did LA lose this game?
That's what I'm
A
wondering.
big powerhouse like that should have won.
LA, and they had 654 passes with 15 shots.
This is insane.
Crazy.
So
Seattle was also offsides 3 times.
Let's go to Atlanta United real quick.
This one's
That's the all
a
game.
painful
That's the
one.
game we're waiting for, right? Atlanta United played Toronto. They did end up losing 2-1. Atlanta scored real fast in the first minutes. They scored at the 4-minute mark, which is incredibly fast. I've never seen a faster goal in the MLS. Then again, I don't watch the MLS that much.
See, here again, if you look at this, it's a lot like that LA game. Atlanta outplayed Toronto, but Toronto just ended up pulling it out, with Atlanta having 19 shots.
Pretty even though. Possession-wise, Atlanta held it for 59% of the game.
But Atlanta
Toronto
had
had it for
19
41%.
shots, where Toronto had 4.
That is just insane.
We had 551 passes, where they had
They had
392.
19 shots, but 5 of them were actually on goal. One of them made it, and 4 got saved.
Right.
Whereas Seattle's, they had 4 shots. All of them were right on goal, and only 2 of them got saved.
Really?
Those 2 goals, though, were incredible. You can't blame Brad or anything like that.
Right.
If anything, you got to blame your defense. On one of the goals, the defense
Defense
completely
did
jumped
absolutely
out of
nothing.
the way.
On the second goal, defense did
Brad didn't
nothing.
see.
That game initially came down to Joseph Martinez missing the penalty kick. Also early in the game, I think that was like the 10th minute or so. It was also super early, and defense doing absolutely nothing on a break down the field, leaving literally Brad Gazan to have to try and work a miracle to stop that ball.
It's not fair to him.
Defense needed to step up. And there wasn't really, you can't really blame Joseph for missing that PK. It happens. PKs are, honestly, they're all luck. You hope the goalie jumps the wrong way.
I don't know, but what I was hearing from you guys is he always does pretty much the same thing. And if you do the same thing repetitively, it's going to get blocked.
But he normally goes top.
Exactly what that goalie
He normally
did.
goes the top corner. But this time he went the bottom corner. So, I don't really know.
Even if, did you see the way he jumped? He jumped for the top and just happened to landed where it was going.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know, Chief.
All right. That's a little quick topic. We only got 2 games, but we can talk about MLS Cup coming up on Sunday. Toronto versus Seattle. I honestly don't know how this game will go, but I'm thinking Toronto pulls it out.
Seattle.
I'm going Toronto. He's going Seattle.
Seeing Seattle come back against LAFC, I think, is way crazier than seeing Toronto come back on Atlanta United, because Atlanta United looked like crap on defense.
But Toronto's a tough team. Atlanta went into that game knowing that Toronto is one of the best.
Did you see LAFC this season?
LA
Absolutely demolished the Galaxy.
LA is great, but I think Toronto can pull it out.
LA beat the Galaxy 5-3. Who has Zlatan Ibrahimovic, one of the best players to ever play
Yeah,
soccer in
but that's
general.
one guy. He's the only person that makes their team good.
And you see how far they made it in the playoffs?
Right.
That's what I thought. I think Seattle will pull it off in the end. But switching topics, we're gonna switch to the NHL for a little bit, just so we can cover it. So our theme is going. It's covering pretty much all sports. We don't want to stick to just one sport, because then I think it's pretty boring. We all know a fair share about a couple sports. We're just gonna go through the power rankings real quick. How we think, whether we think they'll drop or fall in the next coming week. So, but starting us off at number 10, we got the Pittsburgh Penguins. I don't think they're gonna stay. I think the Pittsburgh Penguins,
They
don't got their star players really anymore. I think it's gonna be a slow decline for them. In 3 weeks, maybe it'll be like 13. In another 3 weeks, they might be like 16. They won't fall all the way, but they're gonna fall to that middle spot. I don't think they'll make playoffs in the end. I think it's just going to be a rough season through and through for them.
Yeah, they definitely aren't living up to their expectations. Being a scope freestyle with the host, thanks, buddy. Living up to their expectations of being supposed to be a great team. I think they're kind of slowly falling down. Crosby's getting old. Malkin's hurt.
We'll talk about oldness later because I don't think it's anything to do with being old, except for Crosby's case. Because there's a lot of older guys in this league
Right.
that are almost in their 40s,
Right.
and they're playing great. They're fighting people out there sometimes.
I know who you're
You know
referring to.
exactly who I'm talking about too. I think it's just Crosby's a washed up.
He's even in our little intro. This man's what this dude's talking about.
I had no idea. But at 9, we got Edmonton Oilers. Don't really know much about them.
I know
They
nothing
got a lot
about
of
hockey.
defense, which is good for them, That's how they're rocking it. Toronto's up next, making 3.5 goals a game, 7th best in the NHL, and no defense. They're the 9th worst in the NFL in defense, which is great to see. The team up
NFL. You
there.
just said the NFL.
Like, all right, next up we got 7, the Golden Knights. It's kind of crazy to see this team still hanging out best, considering this is only their 3rd season.
Right. Being an expansion team, having them up there in the 8th spot's kind of incredible.
7th.
7th. I know how to count. I promise.
Next up, at number 6, you got Nashville. Nashville's just, one of those teams that's always hanging out in the middle normally. And you got them up there. They're doing great this year. That they did decent last year. I'm pretty sure they made the they made the playoffs last year. So it's good to see them, keeping their ground, doing what they do. Next up, Buffalo. I don't know if Buffalo will stay or not. I think they might stay right around where they are. Maybe
I mean,
top
they did
5
fall
to 10.
one slot. They were previously 4. Now they're 5. Switching
but
spots with the Hurricanes.
They fell to number 4, the Carolina Hurricanes. And watching the series between the Canes and the Caps last year was just painful. Ended up going 7 games first round. They ended up winning in the end, but I think the Hurricanes are a team that's up and coming, especially with the guy Svechnikov. He's an incredible player. He does the Michigan goal, which if you don't know, you kind of take the puck and you're behind it and you pull it up on your stick and throw it in the top corner.
A lacrosse style goal. Super impressive. Saw it for the first time earlier, and I was in awe. My jaw dropped to the floor. It was incredible.
It's like playing lacrosse on ice.
Right.
When you really think about it. And doing something like that is literally doing that.
Number 3, Colorado.
Why does Cody need to go to
Avalanche.
class?
Because I can't count. Because I said number 8 instead of 7.
Oh. Number 3, you got Colorado Avalanche. They made the playoffs last year. I think they're one of those slept-on teams nobody really talks about. You never really hear about them. They're gonna do decent this year. They're gonna make playoffs again. I see that happening. I don't know enough about hockey to comment more on this. That's why it's just briefly going over the rankings, where people are going, what's happening. But the team I pay attention to the most of all teams, number 2, Washington Capitals, all caps, baby, all caps. And we were talking about it earlier, old people being in the league. They're not necessarily old. They're getting there. You got Alex Ovechkin. Alexander Ovechkin. One of the best players in the league, no doubt. Gonna be Hall of Famer for sure. They're out there winning games with 5 goals and such. They're doing great out there. They're having a lot of games go to overtime, which probably isn't a great thing to see this early. But then when you think about it, there are so many teams that are scoring 5+ goals a night, which is crazy to see. I think it's
New
just the fact
breed
that
of
it's really
hockey.
early in the
That's
ceiling.
for sure. Because that's high numbers.
Yeah. I know they won a game a couple weeks ago with a couple goals. But they still have a good bit of that core championship winning team on there, so I think you could see him in the finals this year, for sure. And coming up at number 1, Boston Bruins. Never thought I would have seen that, but Pasternak is doing amazing. We've seen lots of highlight. He even has a goal that's contending for goal of the year already. But we all know Svechnikov's going to win that.
Svechnikov. I can't say that name. to save
I just
my
want to
life.
see what it looks like when I say it.
Sweat. Okay.
Shut up.
Right. So
It looks weird.
I would, if my computer would load, like to go over this for a second. We can go over the scores. Shows it at the Mr. Keenan. I don't know if you got the power rank stuff
Oh.
at the top of the screen. We got, what is that? Ottawa against New York. New York up 2-1. We got Philly and Carolina 1-1. Vegas and the Sharks, I think, right?
No, that's the Jets.
The Jets. Jets, that's weird. Vegas and the Jets. Vegas up 2-1. Boston, and I don't know what that is. Andrew can cover this because I do not know hockey teams to save my life.
Chicago.
Boston, Chicago. Boston. Oh, Boston's down 2-1. That one seed up there. The one in the power rankings losing to Chicago. LA, Toronto 1-1. I'm going to guess that's New Jersey against Washington. That's just a guess. No, that's not Washington.
Yeah, New Jersey Red Devils. Or not Red Devils.
Yeah,
Is it?
I think so,
it
yeah.
is Red
I
Devils.
don't know who they're playing. What? WPG?
Winnipeg.
I don't know. I don't know hockey.
That's
One of-
the old Thrashers right there. Although the Thrashers moved after Winnipeg again. So, long story short, Atlanta had a team. It was the Atlanta Thrashers. They moved up to Winnipeg and became the Jets. They left.
Yep. Colorado losing to Dallas. 0-2.
That's crazy to see that Calgary isn't the top 10. They were one of the best teams last year.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we're going to move on
2.
to the NBA, right?
Yes, sir. Good old NBA.
Now this is where I will have a lot of opinions on some of these teams. And there's one team I do want to talk about that is a major player in the past 5 years, and they're not even considered like a good team. And it's
Are
great.
we talking about what's on our little list right here? Leading it off with Mr. Druggy.
Yeah, we are going to lead off with something different other than the power rankings this time, though. We're going to start off with news that just came out today. John Collins got suspended 25 games for use of a substance called, I forgot what it's called. Peptide 2,
Yeah.
which is apparently a intestinal growth hormone, which I'm not really sure what he's using it for or anything like that. But Landing, we already had a conversation about this. Landing gave his opinion. He thought it was kind of crazy that he was suspended 25 games, and not even 2 games into the season, DeAndre Ayton had been suspended for 28 games for use of a diuretic. And the reason his sentence was 28 games for a diuretic, the diuretic was a banned substance within the league, and typically diuretics are used to clear out your system a lot so you can hide other drugs. So I feel that's why they went ahead and suspended him for more than just the fact that he's using that diuretic. He's also, it's a suspicion that he's using it to cover other things as well.
Now, how bad do you think this hurts the Hawks? Because the Hawks have had a pretty solid season so far, and John Collins has been one of the top tier players.
An 8 seed.
So
John Collins was out almost all last year too.
So you think they'll still be okay for like the Jits
I
through
think
the
Cam
season?
Reddish is going to step up and take that large forward role, and as long as Cam Reddish steps up and stops being a rookie, they're set. They're golden.
But the thing is Cam Reddish is a rookie, so you can't really you can't expect too much.
I don't know. Look at John Moran out here. John
Big
Morant's
facts,
a rookie.
big facts,
Put 25 points up on the Rockets.
big facts.
Or 23. Look at Trae Young last year. He was playing more than just like a rookie. He was playing well. He was also playing bad a lot, just like a rookie. Look at Luka Doncic. Could you even consider him a rookie last year?
Pretty much, no.
He has professional experience.
So
I would still consider him a rookie.
Trae Young's definitely stepped up this year, that's for sure, though. So that alone should be able to help them push through the whole John Collins situation.
I think they'll be an 8 seed in the weak East.
Well, East is definitely weak, that's for sure.
They don't really have a great rebounding person. John Collins covered most of that, I'm pretty sure. He has the hops, so. They do got DeAndre Hunter, though. And Kevin Herter, right?
Herder was what Lennon said, like their 4th draft pick or something like that.
I don't know.
Something like that.
But going on with the power rankings, we got coming in at number 10, Toronto Raptors. Surprising to see after losing, Kawhi. Nobody thought they would do great, but they're doing mediocre. They are in the East, so it's a lot easier for them, I feel. Pascal Siakam, who actually started playing basketball 7 years ago. So he's only been playing for the sport like 8 years now. He's definitely taken up a major role of that scoring. Kyle Lowry's doing all right. I don't think he deserved that contract extension, but if they didn't give that to him, he was walking. He wasn't staying. Marcus Gasol doing all right. Doing a lot of good defense out there for him. I see him falling, especially as most of these Western teams start to take a running leap. Because once they get up and going, a lot of them are just going to take off. They're going to start winning a lot of games in a row, but it's going to be a battle every night because they're playing a lot of Western teams, But Toronto's next 3 games coming up this week. So for week 3 is you got Sacramento, New Orleans, and Los Angeles Lakers. Sacramento has had a really rough start to the season, so that game could be all Raptors, or we could see De'Aaron Fox out there. I think they're actually playing right now.
Who? Lakers?
No, they're not.
Lakers?
No.
Oh, okay.
Raptors.
Gotcha.
They're not.
For NBA, I would also like to mention the number 11 in the power rankings, Houston Rockets.
I hate you.
Russell Westbrook and James Harden. I think we can see them move up in the power rankings. Week 2, they were at 6 in the power rankings. I think once Westbrook and Harden can get their chemistry down, I think they can be a nasty team. I mean, Harden's already dropped, multiple 30-point games. Westbrook's already averaging a triple-double. You can't, they can still play basketball. Especially together, they're both still doing their thing. I think they can definitely move back up there from the 11th slot.
Westbrook actually took off last night for rest. Do we think that is something pointing to his finger? Do we think that's something to worry about? Me, personally, no. It's Westbrook. He's a beast. Hall of Famer for sure.
I don't think that's anything to be worried about. I think they might just be like, hey, take the day off. You'll be fine. Even if it did have to do with his finger or anything like that, I don't think it's anything to worry about.
By the Heat, though. That was a terrible game to watch. Scary. Not looking good for somebody rooting for the Rockets because of Westbrook, but I think it'll just get better as the season goes on. Rest of them being such great friends.
Right. What we got?
Next up, we got number 9, San Antonio Spurs. Which it's never shocking to see the Spurs up this high, no matter who's on the team, because they have such a great coach in Coach Popovich. It's just you expect them. Russell is a tank, unless you hit his knees. Hashtag Patrick Beverly. But the Spurs, I expect them to always be within that top 15, just because Coach Pop. Because Coach Pop has proven time and time again he can coach anybody. That's why he coaches Team USA. That's why he does it. He takes these young guys and he makes stars out of them. Look at Kawhi. In the return to San Antonio, since he went to the Clippers, Kawhi balled out. He had 32 points.
Right.
He shot a lot, which is weird for Kawhi. It started off as a bad game, but they came out and they brought it back and they won. But next 3 games for San Antonio, or at least this week, is Atlanta, OKC, and Boston. Now here's where we're really going to see the impact John Collins has on the Hawks right now. Right now the game's in the third with 4:54 left. San Antonio's winning 67-63. So you can see there's a lot less scoring in that game. Now it is the third, but typically you see the San Antonio up there, but they are a great defensive team. They're putting the hurt on the Hawks.
It's a 4-point game, so I feel like you'd almost expect them to be putting up a little more points, but could go either way at this point. Number 8, Miami Heat. What you think about the Miami Heat, homie?
They're gonna make conference finals. It's disgusting to see. They're gonna knock. I think they're gonna face the Bucks in the playoffs as the 4 seed. I think you're gonna have Philly in that number 1 seed, Bucks in the number 2, maybe Miami in the 4 or 5, maybe the 3. But I'd really like to see a first round between the Bucks and the Heat. That would be awesome. We're seeing it between Philly and the Heat. That would be awesome, but I would rather Philly make it a little bit further because I love their players. I love what they got going on there. To see them go from one of the worst teams in the league, and then the next 4 years, they're the best.
And
People are considering them the best in the East.
And
We'll get to them later, though.
And Jimmy Butler coming back within this past week, you think he's gonna have a blowout season?
Oh yeah, he is having a blowout season already. He's doing great.
You think he is the Dwayne Wade of the Heat of now?
No.
No.
If anything, that's going to be your Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero is a star shooting guard coming to the league, young, putting his name out there. He's in the conversation for Rookie of the Year already. 2 Heat players on, and that's you can't leave out Kendrick Nunn. He's doing insane. He's averaging 20-plus points a game. Nobody expected this. Undrafted Kendrick Nunn. He's a name to watch out for. Definitely my number 1 for Rookie of the Year right now. I think we got Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Hero, and maybe I'm not putting Zion in there. I think Zion's going to be a flop. RJ Barrett doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have somebody to teach him the ropes. And that's where Tyler Hero and Kendrick Nunn are going to become great stars in the future because they're learning from Jimmy Butler.
Right.
Now, there's a lot of controversy behind Jimmy Butler. He's a bad teammate. But if you really look at it, his teammates say the exact opposite of what all the media says. So I think he's really going to teach them a lot, show them what he's learned throughout the years in Chicago, Minnesota, Philly, and now on the Heat. I think it's a great place for him. He's by himself. He gets to show the true baller he is within the Heat.
So you think he lives up to his name?
Yeah.
The big name, Jimmy Butler.
The only problem we're going to probably see within the Heat this year is who's going to take that last shot. You got clutch Tyler Hero and you got Jimmy Butler.
Right.
Either of them can take that shot. So who will?
You just can't play greedy. Gotta play smart.
Mm-hmm. We'll see as the season goes on, though. Their next 3 games, they got Denver, Phoenix, and Los Angeles, or in the Lakers. The Nuggets, by the way, are looking terrible this year. They are disgusting.
Yet they are at our number 7 slot.
They aren't the Denver of last year, you know.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Jokic doesn't know what to do with the ball, it seems. His passes are terrible looking. They're 4-2. Not bad.
But they've fallen from last week. 3 points.
4-2. They're 4-7.
Yeah, 4-7. So definitely fallen. Not living up to what they expect after seeing the Nuggets last year.
I think as the season goes on, more's going to click. They're going to get back to what they were last year. Coach Mike Malone has said it best this season so far. They're a great talk team, but they did lose to the Pelicans without Zion. Although I don't like how Zion's being so hyped up. I don't think he's going to be what the media says he is or what he was at Duke. And if you've really looked at it, he got hurt at Duke. He got hurt in the preseason. He got hurt during Summer League. And he hasn't even gotten to play a game yet in the NBA because he keeps getting hurt.
We're talking about Zion, right?
Yes.
I believe he's going to be a huge bust.
He's going to flop, of course.
Now,
He'll still be a great player. His name will go down in history, but I don't think it's the way people really think. I think he's going to go down as another Charles Barkley.
I think give him a couple years, then he might build up his game and learn a little more. But in his rookie season, I don't think he's gonna be anything what people expect. Far from it.
Especially because if you look at his summer league and preseason, he had a lot of inside the paint stuff, and that's only because it's a lot slower then. When he gets into full-fledged NBA playing against those stars, he won't shine unless he's playing against the bench squad.
Right.
That's my opinion on that.
Yeah,
Coming in at
I'm
number
saying a
6, Utah
bust.
Jazz.
He's definitely gonna be a bust. That's for sure. I don't.
I don't think he's gonna be a bust like he's exclaiming. I just think he's gonna be a bust because he's 285, 6'7". It's just not gonna work.
Now, I'm not saying his
Charles
career.
Barkley had to retire. I think he's the next Charles Barkley.
Now, I'm not saying his career will be a bust, but I believe as far as his rookie season goes, as far as his rookie season goes, I don't think he's gonna be anything of what people expect him to be.
We'll see.
But we got a little bit off topic talking about the Denver Nuggets.
It's only because they lost to the Pelicans.
But
All right. Number
Number
six,
six.
Utah Jazz. 4-3. It's kind of expected. Actually, higher than I expected off the Utah Jazz, especially with all these duos out here in the West. Donovan Mitchell's out there doing his thing.
I do
Can't
love
say much
Donovan
about
Mitchell.
that.
One of my favorite players in the NBA, Donovan Mitchell.
No. Not a Dwight Howard. Charles Barkley. Get him a donut.
Yeah, that man
You're
is
taking me off
big.
topic.
He's a big man, alright? He can be compared to Charles Barkley.
He weighs almost the same as Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley's thick,
He
man.
weighs almost the same
My man, mad
Shaq.
thick.
as Shaq. Shaq is also almost 4 feet, or not 4 feet, 4 inches taller than him.
Yeah, Shaq's
It's a
4
big
feet.
difference there. Utah, they got great defense. They got great offense. They're clicking right now. Do I see them staying? No. I see them finishing at a 6 or 7 seed.
Especially with the power team, the power duos in the NBA.
As the season goes on, those duos are going
Right.
to do better.
They're going to start working better together and moving their way up.
I don't see anything more than I don't see really a 60-win team in the West because of how stacked the West is. I mean, you might, but right now I don't see it. In the East, I think we'll see 2. Coming in number 5, Boston Celtics. Nobody expected to see this.
Not at all.
Considering they lost Kyrie. They still do have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, but with Kemba Walker coming in, I didn't expect it. Kemba Walker's trash. He's not going to be a Hall of Famer. He'll be talked about, but I don't see him going down as a Hall of Famer. I don't see Boston being any more than a 6 seed, if that. I mean, and if it is higher than that, it's because of how weak the East is. Now we do see him getting stronger, but it's pretty much 8 teams that are going to make it guaranteed, and you can't change that. Hawks are trying to change it, but they need to get their guys straight and stop letting them do drugs.
John Collins.
Feels bad, mate.
Feels bad to be John Collins.
You don't think Kemba's trash? He's good in his own respects, but Jordan should not have taken him in the draft for Charlotte. Oh, we forgot to mention games for these teams. Denver plays Miami, Philly, Minnesota. They're going to lose 2 because Cat's suspended. Utah plays Philly and Milwaukee. They're going to lose to Philly, I feel. Philly's quick. Actually, they might not because they're without Embiid.
My name is Joel Embiid.
My name is Joel Embiid. I mean, I'll give you that. I just don't think Kemba and his play style could fit if he went to a Western team. So when I consider the NBA, I think, okay, we have this player. Let's put him on decent Western teams, can he still contend like he does with Eastern teams? And most of the time, I don't think so. If you put him on the Sacramento Kings, who did pretty good last year, almost made the playoffs for a team that used to do bad, I don't think he could do what they're doing now with De'Aaron Fox. I think the play style, the pace of game is all way too fast for Kemba. Kemba is a slower paced player, so when they play the Rockets, it's going to be bad. The Rockets were a lot slower paced team last year with Russell Westbrook
Russell Westbrook.
coming in. They've actually are like a, according
Russell
to
Westbrook.
Coach D and Tony, are a 6 or less team. So basically, they're playing the court in 6 or less seconds. So they're playing really fast, which is going to be a curveball for most teams unless they are able to slow the pace of play down. When they play the Lakers, it's going to be disgusting for LeBron because he is 35 almost. He can't play at that pace. Play at that pace.
We've been talking for almost an hour, so like our tongues are getting tied, you know. Going on 56 minutes here.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Good old Milwaukee Bucks. Also known as
People,
Giannis.
when they talk about the Bucks, they're like, the team is Giannis. The team is Giannis. The team
As
is
I
not just
literally just said.
Eric Bledsoe.
But
Chris Middleton.
I feel like everything is Giannis.
His little brother.
Like it's Giannis.
That's all anybody ever talks about. I think they stay. They're going to be a 2 or 3 seed in the East. It's going to be a great year for them, as long as they keep playing like they did last year. I don't think they'll be a 1 seed, though. I think Philly has that in the bag, especially if Simmons is still putting up those jumpers. But this week, they got 4 games. They're playing Minnesota, Clippers, Utah, OKC. I think they got Minnesota, losing to the Clippers, got Utah, and I think OKC should be interesting considering what they did to Warriors with Curry. And that's true, but Chris Middleton really isn't a two-way player for them. He does play decent defense, but he is there for the threes. He is their three-point shooter. I think that's what they're mainly using him for, honestly. Which is a good play by them because he's a good three-point shooter. Coming in at number 3.
Mr. Freestyle's personal favorite, LA Clippers. Mr. Freestyle is a Clippers fan. No. He's been a Clippers fan for a while. He was sad when Chris Paul was a goner.
Chris Paul.
I remember that day. He got the notification. Chris Paul was gone. This man was so sad. Remember like it was yesterday. But, you know, this year it's good to be a Clippers fan, am I right?
It's crazy to see them this high. Like, it was expected. But they're playing without Paul George, and they're doing this good.
Just imagine when he comes back.
When Paul George comes back and Kawhi takes his rest days, they're not going to lose because they got Paul George in that second option.
Right. And then when they're both on the court together, they're going to be incredible.
Nasty.
Exactly.
It's going to be so nasty. You got Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Patrick Beverly. 3 of the top 5 defensive players in the NBA.
Yes, sir.
They're definitely going to be the number 1 ranked defense throughout the year. Their games are going to be a lot low scoring for the other team. I think the other teams are going to end up averaging 90 points a game against them. It's going to be bad for other teams, especially high-paced offenses like the Rockets. Those are going to be some really good games.
I also believe that they'll either maintain the spot or they'll move up in the rankings. Week 2, they were ranked at number 1. So, I think...
But yeah, they took those 2 losses.
Right.
The number 1 team is undefeated until a couple days ago.
But those 2 losses aren't going to affect the power rankings over the whole entire span of the season.
Their 2 losses. Let's talk about that real quick. Their next two games are going to be Milwaukee and Portland. Portland's always a scary team to face because of Logo Lillard. You can never sleep on Logo Lillard, all right?
As OKC fans, we can attest to that. Damian Lillard is not our friend.
Where they go? Where they go, bro?
Clippers. Pull it up on Google.
They lost to the Rockets. 109-96. Wait, no. Yeah. No. That was preseason. They lost to the Suns. 130 to 122.
And the Suns,
And
that's
that's a big game to talk about.
That's a sad one. Suns aren't that great.
That's without Ayton. The Suns also beat another team that we'll talk about in a couple minutes here, and that was a terrifying loss for that team. Just it was outright bad. And they lost to the Jazz, 110 to 96. So that's where you're seeing Donovan Mitchell balling out in those games. But those two losses are going to weigh heavily on a team like that come later on. I think they're definitely going to be a revenge team just because of Patrick Beverley. That's who he is. He gets mad. He makes the other players mad. He plays angry. That's just how he plays. But next up, number 2, you got the Lakers.
And you kind of gotta expect that.
I didn't expect it. I don't think they're going to be a top 5 seed in the West, honestly. Especially once your other teams start playing like themselves. I think they're going to start to fall off a little bit when they're playing faster paced offenses. They're not going to do as great because LeBron's old. It shows in his games.
If you ask me, they're not number 2 in the power rankings this week because of LeBron. They're in number 2 because of Anthony Davis. That's my opinion.
Yeah, because
But
Davis had a 40-20 game in 3 quarters.
LeBron, he's LeBron, right? He's still LeBron, but he's not the LeBron of 2-3 years ago. You know?
Yeah. They play Chicago, Miami, Toronto. I think they're going to have some problems with Miami and that young team. Yes, the Lakers do have some young players, but think about it. They traded away their future. Look, AD leaves next year, which is possible, even said by him, because he was in Chicago for their game against Chicago today, which they're losing 67 to 48 in the third. As we're talking,
Right.
how I don't think the Lakers are going to be a good team going forward. Chicago sucks. What is this?
I would like to point this out right now. With 1.6 seconds in the fourth, the Pacers and the Hornets are tied at 113. So that's a fun game to watch. Fun game to watch.
Pacers are one to watch when Oladipo comes back from that ACL tear.
Spurs Hawks is still close right now too. Spurs winning 80 to 79 with 9:40 in the fourth. But get back on topic. Talking about the Lakers.
Yep. But Chicago, they're doing terrible against right now. Miami is going to cause a lot of problems. You got 3 really good players, 2 of them real young guys, and they still have picks to come. The Lakers have no more young guys, no more picks coming. They're screwed if AD leaves this year.
And as we talked about at the beginning of our NBA segment, they play Toronto, and Toronto was the 10th slot, but we talked about how scary they can still be without Kawhi. So I think them facing Toronto, they could have a chance to go down there, definitely. Especially if they play how they are against Chicago right now.
Especially Fred VanVleet, forgot to mention that. He is balling out too. He's having a great year so far. Number one, my second favorite team, baby, the Philadelphia 76ers. 5-0 as of the power rankings. Right now, they're 5-1. They were the last undefeated team, which normally teams don't really last past the first week undefeated. One of them will lose a stupid game. But
in this coming week, I think they have a schedule where they can win out this week.
They lost to Phoenix
Well,
already.
well, we can forget about that one. Okay, just forget.
That was a great. That was Embiid's first game on suspension, and so he won't play against Utah either. So I think Utah might beat him there, and I think they're going to end up being 5-2 and down a couple spots in the power rankings.
Do you think Embiid is that impactful on the Sixers though?
He gets in the players' heads, as he keeps saying to Cat. That's a lot of hang on. I forgot.
Run.
He was going at it against Cat though. He was calling him out, and he was like saying, "Come on, do something. You won't." Speaking of that game, while we're on it, that was such a funny fight. Seeing Ben Simmons hop on his back.
And Ben Simmons not even getting a suspension, so like
that was expected. As Embiid likes to say about the players he faces, he said about Cat, that's a lot of real estate, because even his mom has given him middle finger. It's like he's gotten so in his head that even Cat's mom is getting into it, which is just crazy.
I feel like when you can play getting into your opponent's head, like you see like that in baseball too, like someone on third base and they're like taunting the pitcher, it gets in their head and throws them off. So I think getting in a player's head can really like throw them off, and it's a really powerful like thing.
But speaking about the 76ers, the only way I see them is if Ben Simmons comes out here and hits some threes. Because Joel Embiid, being a center, is still one of the three-point shooters,
Right.
Which is crazy to think about. And, you know, they have that core four. They have Tobias Harris still. They have Al Horford. Horford. And so they have a great three there, and then they also got Furkan, which is he slept on. He had a game-winning shot against the not the Pelicans, the Trailblazers, which if you haven't seen, you need to go watch right now. It is insane.
Not right now, after the show.
He hit it there was 1 second left, and he hit it from the corner, and it was right after Dame hit a game-winning three, which wasn't game-winning because Furkan came out here and hit a great shot. I only see them staying up top. They're playing Phoenix, Utah, Denver, and Charlotte.
Yeah, I think they can win. Well, like you said, Utah might be a struggle, but Denver and Charlotte, I think they got that in the bag. That's about all we got for this episode, huh?
I mean, we can go over some previews for the weeks.
Previews for the weeks.
I mean, we went over preview. Let's talk about some other NBA teams like OKC, who was slept on even by me at the beginning of this year.
As OKC
Went out and
fans,
beat the Warriors.
they were slept on.
Absolutely insane. I think we're down for a couple great seasons coming out here, except for the NFL. The NFL looks like garbage. I think we got a great season coming out of the NBA. It's going to be great. 70-something games to go. 2 huge suspensions out there, a 25 and a 28 game. So it should be interesting to see what happens through the rest of the year.
As we were saying about OKC, though, literally everybody expect them to be garbage. I'm not saying they're good, but the fact that they're winning games is kind of unexpected. Not like they ain't gonna go far in the playoffs if they make the playoffs, but they are exceeding their expectations, considering they're a team full of young guys around Chris Paul.
Update, Indiana and Charlotte went into overtime.
Dang, still tied
So another team
115.
that's kind of being slept on right now is Orlando. Orlando was one of the teams last because of Vucevic. And they added Markelle Fultz, and Markelle Fultz is actually doing great out there for what we've seen since he got drafted. He's confident now. I see them going a good bit, maybe the 8th seed. I don't know. We'll
But-
be more prepared for next week. We'll get some predictions, for each team set up by each of us for each league. based
Hopefully
off
we
what
can
we
get
have
Landon
so
in
far.
here next
Yeah,
week.
maybe we'll have Landon here. I don't know.
But
Depends on if he shows up.
prove that
But
point a
thanks
little
for
more,
tuning in
though.
to the first episode of
One second,
Pass the
I got
Ball
something to
with-
say. To prove that point a little more, as you're talking about Orlando, they are playing OKC right now, and OKC is actually up 65-59. Not a big gap, but the fact that they're leading a team in the third quarter like Orlando is
Oh
still
yeah, I
unexpected.
got one more thing too. I just want to say I predicted this for the Warriors.
Yeah,
Cody
this
and Landon
dude.
were saying they were saying Warriors were gonna make the playoffs. Actually, I started a conversation. I'm like, Warriors aren't making the playoffs this year. There's no way. If they make it, they'll be an 8th seed. And Cody and Landon were like, "You're crazy. It's the Warriors." And I'm like, "Just watch. Curry's not that good. I mean, he broke his hand now, so now."
Of course, he's.
But if I was the Warriors, I'd tank. I wouldn't bring Curry back. I wouldn't bring Clay back at any point. I had to give time for Draymond to heal because Draymond got hurt too. He tore a ligament in his finger, so he should be out for a couple games. We'll see though. They did win without any of the four, so we'll see how that goes. But thanks for tuning in to the first episode of Pass the Ball, presented by ourselves because we're cool and stuff.
Yep. My name's Cody.
Boys.
Thanks for watching. This is my friend Andrew. Thanks for tuning in. If you missed a part of the show, this is going to be up on our YouTube probably tomorrow. So if you missed a part and you want to catch up, stop by, watch it. Thanks for tuning in. We've maintained about 5 viewers the whole time. I'm not going to lie, completely unexpected that. That's crazy. Thanks Freestyle for the host, for the follow. It's been awesome. Thanks for watching. Bye.
We'll see you next time.
He drives one, deep left field. That goes Upton, back near the wall. It's out of here. It's going to get there. He turned 32 yesterday. Does he have a vintage moment in it? In the end zone, it is caught for the win. Kodrak scores, yes, he scores!
I stuff